front page of the papers. We want to keep you abreast of happenings around Nigeria, even though sometimes these stories are heartbreaking. But this program was created for you, to keep you abreast of happenings around the nation. And of course, when we have the time, we bring you stories from across the ocean. Yes, overseas, international stories. You get all of it right here. So without wasting much time, let us go on to the weather. My name is Anire, Binitie. And today we begin in Edo State. Edo State, if you see the pictorial right there, cloudy conditions expected around 11 a.m. in Edo State. However, it is 78 degrees past 9 a.m. in Edo State at 55% of rain. At 10 a.m. at 80%, we'll expect at 80 degrees, I beg your pardon, we'll expect 45% of rain. At 11, it will rise to 82 degrees. At 12, 84. At 1 p.m., 86. At 2 p.m., 87. Wind gusts are up to 9 miles per hour. Highest temperatures is 88 degrees and lowest is predicted at 75 degrees. Delta is up next. Delta, rainy conditions expected around 10 a.m. in Delta. Delta appears to have some rain today also. It is 79 degrees past 9 a.m. in Delta. At 10 a.m., it will rise to 81 degrees at 40% of rain. At 11, 83 degrees at 40% of rain. At 12 p.m., it will rise to 85. At 1 p.m., 86. And at 2 p.m., 88 degrees. Rainy conditions, like I said earlier on, is expected at 10 a.m. Wind gusts are up to 6 miles per hour. Highest temperatures 89 and lowest at 73. Let's take a look at Bayelsa. I'm sure we have Bayelsa somewhere here. Yes, we have Bayelsa, just like at Delta State. Bayelsa too is going to be a rainy day, going by the pictorial. Cloudy conditions are expected around 12 p.m. However, it is 79 degrees past 9 a.m. in Bayelsa State at 45% of rain. At 10 a.m., it will rise to 81 degrees at 45% of rain. However, at 11 a.m., it will drop to 40% of rain at 83 degrees. At 12 p.m., it will rise to 86 degrees. At 1 p.m., 88, maintaining the same status at 2 p.m. Wind gusts are up to 6 miles per hour. Highest temperatures is 88 and lowest is 75. Rivers State. Let us see what Rivers has to offer today. I'm sure we have Rivers this morning. Let me check. Yes, there you have Rivers State. It is 78 degrees past 9 a.m. at 45% of rain in Rivers. At 10 a.m., it will rise to 81% at 81 degrees at 40% of rain. At 11 a.m., 83 degrees at 35% of rain. At 12 p.m., 86 degrees, at 1, 87, and at 2 p.m., 88 degrees. Wind gusts are up to 7 miles per hour. Highest temperatures, 88 degrees, and lowest, 75. Enugu is up next. Enugu this morning, it is 78 degrees past 9 a.m. At 10 a.m., it will rise to 88 degrees. At 11, 81 degrees. At 12, 84 degrees. At 1 p.m., 85 degrees, and at 2 p.m., 87. Partly cloudy conditions are expected sometime in the afternoon. Wind gusts are up to 7 miles per hour. Highest temperatures is 87 degrees, and lowest is 74. Imo. It is 78 degrees in Imo at 35% of rain. At 10 a.m., it will rise to 80 degrees. At 11, 83. At 12, 85. At 1 p.m., 87, and at 2 p.m., 88 degrees. Cloudy conditions are expected around 10 a.m. in Imo State. Wind gusts are up to 8 miles per hour. Highest temperatures is 89 degrees and lowest 75. All right, let's jet off now to Lagos. Let's see what Lagos has to offer in terms of temperatures. It is 79 degrees at 70% of rain past 9 a.m. in Lagos. Lagos too is going to be a rainy day. At 10 a.m., it will rise to 81 degrees at 55% of rain. At 11, 83 degrees at 40% of rain. At 12 p.m., it will rise to 84 degrees. At 1 p.m., 86 degrees, and at 2 p.m., it will remain so at 86. Thunderstorms expected right about now in Lagos. Wind gusts are up to 8 miles per hour. Highest temperatures predicted at 87 and lowest at 77. Abuja is next. It is 78 degrees past 9 a.m. At 10, it will rise to 80 degrees. At 11, 82 degrees. At 12, 84 degrees. At 1 p.m., 86. And at 2 p.m., 87. Rainy conditions expected sometime in the evening. Wind gusts are up to 11 miles per hour. Highest temperatures, 87. Lowest at 74. All right, the next state is Plateau. Let's take a look at Plateau this morning. Plateau State this morning, it is 75 degrees past 9 a.m. in Plateau State. At 10 a.m., it will rise to 78. At 11, 81. At 12, 83. At 1 p.m., it will remain at 83, falling to 82 at 2 p.m. Rainy conditions expected in the afternoon. Wind gusts are up to 8 miles per hour. Highest temperatures, 83 degrees, and lowest at 69. Kano is 84 degrees past 9 a.m. At 10, 88. At 11, 90. At 12, 92. At 1 p.m., 94. And at 2 p.m., 95. Cloudy conditions will continue all day. Wind gusts are up to 13 miles per hour. Highest temperatures is at 96 and lowest at 78. And finally, this morning on our weather forecast update is Kaduna State. It is 78 degrees past 9 a.m. in Kaduna. At 10 a.m., 81 degrees. At 11, 83. At 12, 86. At 1 p.m., 87, rising to 88 at 2 p.m. Rainy conditions expected in the evening. Wind gusts are up to 11 miles per hour. Highest temperatures predicted at 89 degrees and lowest at 74. There you have it. Our weather forecast update today is going to be rainy in some or most of the states that we mentioned, and I presume in all parts of Nigeria. There's definitely going to be rain. We're in the rainy season. So for those states where it is hot, you know what to do. Protect yourself, hydrate, and of course, the weather should be followed, because we usually bring you top weather report right here on the press. All right, let us move on now to the front pages as we start with the Nigerian Tribune. The Nigerian Tribune this morning has the report, the toast to President Tinubu, who the cap fits. I think it just is a continuation from yesterday. I hope this is, let me check out the date for today's report. Okay, it is Tuesday. So if you followed the press yesterday, the entire front pages had the toast to the president. He's been given the ticket with 10.99 votes, 10.9 votes, 10.99 million votes. Some said 10.9 million votes. Some said 11 million votes. Bottom line is he has the vote of the APC as the candidate for the 2027 elections. All right, above the mast, INEC appeals election guidelines judgment, 6 stay of execution. Beside that, Nigeria's GDP growth rate slows to 3.89%, says the NBS. Bandits invade Kwara community, raise Emir's palace, abduct 10. Yes, this is a reality. I often say that here, insecurity in the land is becoming something else. It's become a monster that just keeps mutating. Every day brings a new story, and behind the story, in between the lines, the heartbreak. Every day, it has become part of our culture, in the land, and it is indeed heartbreaking. The latest is Kwara once again in the eye of the storm. The audacity for these people to attack the Emir's palace, burn it down, abduct and all sorts of report coming out from that incident. When my guests come again, unfortunately, we shall be taking a look at rising insecurity, and our focus will be Kwara and, of course, Kirby State, because the latest events that made the headlines, amongst others, is the Kirby and Kwara situation. We shall be taking a look at those today. All right, let us move on now to the next paper, the New Telegraph, in no particular order. The New Telegraph this morning says, security alert, terrorists planning to hit civilian targets during Eid al-Kabir military ones. We have riders assures of comprehensive security arrangements, suspend mountain prayers, presidency tells religious bodies in Kwara, Kogi. NSCDC deploys 2,480 personnel in Kwara. Federal government declares tomorrow, Thursday, public holidays. Nigerians among over 1.5 million pilgrims in Mina for Hajj. Away from that, ASO threatens fresh strike over delayed 2025 pact implementation. NCAA temporarily suspends no pay, no service directive, clarifies aviation charges. 2027, Tinubu's 10 million votes manufactured at Atiku. 3 principal officers, 9 Lagos Assembly members failed APC primaries. All right. INEC appeals judgment voiding timelines for 2027 elections. 6th day of execution. Rep once against the registering agency accord APP. And in health, Ebola outbreak worsens. WHO calls for urgent response. FDA gets approval for once in a week insulin, says study. All right, we have more papers. Let us take a look at the Vanguard newspaper this morning. It says 2027 presidency, opposition parties in disarray as factional candidates emerge. SDP, ADC, PDP caught in the web. Results of PRP, ADC primaries ready today. Atiku favor to peak ADC. ADC ticket gets endorsement from states. All right, we have more Oyo school kidnap, government under pressure as abductors demand ransom. There's a rider, we won't spare resources to rescue victims. Makinde, family of beheaded teacher demands recovery of body. NCAA airline operators bicker over debt. Other federal government declares Wednesday, Thursday public holidays. Pope apologizes for Vatican's role in justifying slavery. Coming too late. I wonder if it will be accepted. I don't know. Columnist Teniola, all right. Above the mass intervening mass killing of Nigerians rather than rhetorics, PFN tells federal government. Warri constituency delineation, thugs attack protesting Ishekiri youth at INEC headquarters. INEC appeals judgment voiding timelines for 2027 polls. Now, coming back to the Warri constituency delineation, the attack of protesting Ishekiri youth at INEC headquarters, this is totally unacceptable, and people really need to calm down. People really need to calm down. It's a free nation. Everyone is free to say their minds. Everyone is free to protest, especially peaceful protest, and move freely in the crowd, freely in the nation. And, it's unacceptable that they get attacked while trying to voice their hearts. So the attack on Ishekiri youth is totally unaccepted, totally unaccepted. And I just hope that those, the police and those that are supposed to protect citizens in areas like this, they are on ground to ensure no lives are lost. Because if the situation is flipped around. I'm not sure Ishakiri youth will in any way attack people on the streets trying to protest in a peaceful way, to actually lay down their pains and let the world, hear. And if for the Nigerian government to get to hear what they have to say and solutions are sought. So it's totally unaccepted, and we need to see it here on the show. All right, let's move on to the Nation newspaper. INEC appeals verdict voiding timeline on party register. Electoral agency asks court for stay of execution. Above the mast, White Court favors DSS in defamatory suit against Serap. You want to find out? Pick up the Nation newspaper. Beside that, 1.5 million pilgrims kick off Hajj on Mount Arafat. All right, APC begins post-primary poll reconciliation. Choir to deploy drones against bandits, terrorists. Okay, let's move on to The Guardian newspaper this morning. The screaming headline says, INEC's appeal leaves opposition aggrieved politicians in limbo. That's on The Guardian newspaper this morning. Just beside that, Idil Kabir military assures residents of safety amid Boko Haram ISWAP attack fears. Now, the truth is Nigerians have totally lost any trust when it comes to promises by the military, by the federal government, guaranteeing their safety. There's totally no trust there. We do hope that anytime they come out to give promises like this, they actually keep to their words. The celebrations are here. There'll be people, traveling on the roads right now, people going to see their loved ones and family members. The mosques will be filled up with people who will go to pray. We just hope that all that needs to be done to protect lives and property is put in top gear, so we don't continue to hear these heartbreaking stories that break the heart. Okay, we have more. NISER predicts 5.02% GDP growth, single digits inflation rate by 2028. All right, opposition says Tinubu's 10.9 million votes claim doesn't reflect political reality. Nigeria's economy grows 3.89% in first quarter as electricity contracts by 15.3%. All right, that is all we can take on our paper front pages this morning. If you liked, any of the stories piqued your interest, you know what to do. You can go buy the papers. You can pay to read it at a stance, the way we do it, the Nigerian way. Or you could go online and, have all the papers at your tip and you read and get all the information. We'll take a break now to bring in our guests. Hopefully they are here. And the discussion when we return. Stay with us. Yes, welcome back. It is still the press, and we're about to start a conversation in the studio. I have one guest expecting another. You know, it's the Salah celebration. You know, you're lucky when you get guests come in at times like this. I'm glad that my friend is here as I expect the other guests to join us. If he doesn't come today, he stops being my friend. No. We're expecting him, and we understand if he can make it because he's so involved in the Salah preparation. This morning, we shall be taking a look at State of the Nation, rising insecurity, cancellation of 717 million US dollars World Bank loan, matters arising. That's our topic today. But before we start, my analysis. Now, still on rising insecurity in Nigeria, what confronts Nigeria today is not merely a spate of criminality, it is the proliferation of a layered and mutually reinforcing security crisis. Unknown armed men have unleashed a terror attack on Yashikira community in Barutin local government area of Kwara State, signifying deteriorating security in the state. It was learned that the bandits set the Emir's palace ablaze and abducted several residents, including women, children, and some of the Emir's wives. Residents disclosed that a heavily armed attackers stormed the border community on Sunday night, firing sporadically before launching the assault on the palace and nearby homes. Away from Kwara, suspected armed bandits have abducted 11 residents of Tangaram village in the Wasagu district of Danko and Wasagu local government area of Kebbi State following a midnight attack on the community. Residents say the attackers stormed the village at about 1 a.m. on Sunday, firing sporadically into the air before breaking into homes and whisking victims away toward the Zamfara border. Now, that is on insecurity. Now, let us take a look at our second focus, which is the loan cancellation. And on Nigeria's mounting external loans, the federal government has cancelled 717.7 million US dollars in undisbursed World Bank funding earmarked for reforms in Nigeria's struggling electricity sector. The decisions followed a formal request by the government and a mutual agreement with the World Bank to discontinue the power sector recovery performance-based operation, citing evolving sector conditions and the failure to meet key reform milestones. According to the World Bank restructuring paper, the cancelled amount represents the entire undisbursed balance remaining under the program. The restructuring will result in the cancellation of the entire undisbursed balance in the amount of 717.7 million US dollars equivalent, and no further disbursements will be made under the program following approval of this restructuring, the bank stated. All right, these are to focus this morning. Once again, the topic, State of the Nation, rising insecurity, cancellation of 717 million US dollars World Bank loan, matters arising. I have my friend in the house. He is Ismaila Babatunde, who is a public affairs analyst. Ismaila, it's so nice to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you so much, Anire, and thank you, Nigerians.
I really want to appreciate you, despite the fact that you're Muslim. You're caught in the preparation of the Salah, the other celebration.
Yes,
that you still yes, to make sure that we analyze these topics. You were here last week. Again, you're here today. So once again, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Ironically, when you were here last week, we spoke on insecurity in the land. It was Ibadan, the Oyo crisis. Coming from Oyo, you came in here with a very long face. Your spirit was so dampened because that happens to be your state, and some of the people were actually known by you. And again, this morning, you're called again to take a look at rising insecurity with our focus on Kebbi and Kwara. the one that happened in Kwara, so brazen, the attack on the Emir's palace. The palace was burnt down. His wives, children, women, they're all abducted. I don't know. It has become too much, Ismail.
I think first and foremost, I want to thank you, even you in particular, and the entire media crew, and even the organization itself for giving us this kind of platform. What this tells us is that it's been patriotic enough that we are trying to show concern, and we must put Nigeria first in everything we do. So that is why we have to make such a sacrifice to ensure that anytime we are being called upon, it's about Nigeria and Nigeria first before we do all of this. And raising these issues, the issue before us regarding this insecurity, you know, it's really connected by all the highlights. It's really connected boils down to the governance, it boils down to leadership, boils down to stability, and ultimately economic survival of every Nigerian. And with the issue of the insecurity, this tells us that the insecurity are no more at the hotspot where it used to happen. It's now spreading across the communities in Nigeria. And it is high time the government need to sit up that what Nigerians are expecting from them now is a visible and practical result, practical solutions. We want to see the impact on our lives. We want to see that, because there's no economic growth in an environment where there is fear. Let's take, for instance, our immediate sitting here is a business environment, and at the door there is constant issue of people putting up something and threatening our lives. If we are to close by, let's say, 6 p.m. in the evening, you find out that you discover that we will be closing by 2 p.m. or even 12 noon because of the fear that we have. And we need to eliminate this fear. The government needs to be proactive. They need to move away from being a reactive governance style to a defensive governance approach. Let's take, for example, will I use the recent war that happened between the U.S. and Iran. The U.S. went into that war. The way they told us, because I really don't know the undertone, but what is being portrayed is that they are being threatened that if the other country were able to have a nuclear power, then they are being threatened in the sense that they will become a target in the future. So that is being a defensive kind of approach. So in Nigeria now, we need to be we need to adopt a defensive approach, most especially that we are now battling terrorism and insecurity in the country. So we need to move away from, the war of these days, the way I see it, is not just all about this frontline kind of a force approach. We also need to strengthen our intelligence gathering. We need to see how we can work on that realistically and address the issue of this inter-agency rivalry and see how we can come up with a fantastic intelligence gathering that will provide intelligence even before the attacks happen. Because part of what I read in the past was that before something happens, there must be an informant. That means, what this means is, for example, before an attack happens in a community, the community people must have sensed some kind of strange movements or strange faces within their community. So how were they able to communicate that to the authority? Who did they discuss with? So these are some of the intelligence gathering that we need to really work on. If it means that the government should put an approach That's the way they do in like a national confab. They should call a national confab on security, so that every Nigerian will have opportunity to see how they can also present their own iota of solutions. So from there, they will be able to filter and see maybe this approach, because there may be some approach that I know that because I do not have a proper communication channel to the right authority, so that they will be able to look into it and see if it's something workable from their own end. So it's not a bad idea. This is the time that we need to explore all options, all the options that we have available. Because insecurity is everyone's business, and we must take ownership of it. No matter the help that we are going to have from the international community or diaspora, if we do not
find an internal solution
and deliberate determination that we want to end these things and give the ownership to the grassroots communities, we might find it very difficult before we'll be able to address these insecurity issues. One of the solutions that I thought on my head was, okay, let's take for instance, because these terrorists operate within the bush, the forest and the farmland. There are farmers. Who are those that normally goes to farm? Farmers, hunters. Let them find a way of incorporating these people. That reminds me, there was a time far back whereby there used to be an attack on the bullion vans, mostly on the highways. At some point, it was high, but now we hardly hear of it.
Yes.
Why? Because I learned that the security agencies have to integrate the drivers of those bullion vans by teaching them defensive driving and some certain strategy and how to detect early signs of an attack. And I think that really helped. So I want to, in my own opinion, I want to okay, let's integrate these hunters and farmers. Bring them together. Let the security agencies, the DSS, the police, integrate these people. Even though not formally saying they will be a direct officer. Integrate them in a way that you give them a kind of intelligence training and a channel of reporting, giving them ownership. You can even go as far as, okay, if anything happens, if issue happens within this territorial stuff, your right to farm on this land will even be revoked and it will be given to another person who will be able to properly give us an intelligence that wants to happen from this axis. So that will give them a sense of belonging and also an accountability that, okay, they need, aside from just farming, they also need to give the security agencies intelligence so that they will be able to sense an attack, to respond even before it even happens. So those are my own kind of opinion that I was looking at. I think we need to, the government needs to see how they can integrate these people, because they are the one in this forest that they go to these bushes. Because it's not easy because we can't just deploy our security architecture that, okay, go into the bush. To do what? So there must be those who works, who their livelihoods revolves around these people. We should be able to see how we can integrate them into the system, give them the sense of belonging and ownership, so then we can extract the information that is needed from them.
Now beyond the grassroots attempt to get information, we've spoken about this again and again. I remember 2 Mondays ago when we had a guest here, and we're talking about the place of technology in fighting insecurity in the nation. People talk about the telephones that kidnappers used to call and ask for ransom. Why can't it be traced, to get a particular location to actually solve most of these kidnappings, even when they carry their victims into the forest? Now, let us take a look at that again, because we're trying to understand why, with the population that we have, with all the monies that we have, with all the resources that we have at our beck and call, with all that has been put into security, fighting insecurity in Nigeria, we still are just 10% out of 100, and we keep having this brazen attacks day in, day out. How can we use technology? Are you saying we cannot even include technology
we can.
in the grassroots
We can.
to ensure that we get intelligence information that we will act on before rather than after the attacks, and we begin to say all kinds of things?
See, for me, it has technology, we can't weigh it out in present day. It is something that we should have enough of those technologies.
All over the country.
All over the country. But then maybe there are some bottleneck which we don't know.
Why
because we do not produce them.
About fighting insecurity.
Because we do not produce them. I just assume that maybe. But then again, we have satellite. It's not bad if we could have a satellite imagery that
to pick out flashpoints,
some of the flashpoints and sense them even earlier without
trace them as they're going towards their targets.
So these are part of the solution. I said, if there are avenues, it can be presented to them that let us adopt. We have joint technologies. At least at every police post or something, they should have some sort of a joint technology that if they get a report, they should be able to quickly respond using the technology to detect what is actually happening, then deploy their manpower towards that to respond to that report. So we are not weighing that option. It's a very good option that we also need to look at. Even the issue of people that are payment system, we are improving, but then we still need to do more in that regard. So there are a lot of things that we need to address in this country. And maybe we have the finances. They should be able to liaise with the people who can provide some of this technology for us and also train our personnel for the effective use of this, so that we would be able to address the issue of this insecurity. Also tracing the funding, because there's no how these people are not getting funding from a source. We should be able to find a way. The CBN, the EFCC, what we are seeing, we are not really seeing them. We've not really gotten any tangible information about them tracing the source of funding for some of this terrorism, but we could get more information regarding the other people who use internet fraudsters. So they should step up. That is the kind of result that we want
that is why it is so shocking, because I'm so happy that you mentioned internet fraud. Nigeria has done a lot when it comes to cracking this group of people. Internationally, we're recognized for the great work we're doing in getting these Yahoo boys out of our streets. Why can't they apply same in tracking down terrorists in the nation? That's why I believe that we have all it takes to finally crush insecurity. I believe that we have the manpower, the strength, the intelligence to crush insecurity. But the problem is, why are we not? That's the question. Why can't we? Why do we have the stories every day on our front pages? Why does it happen at all? Because I know we can't do this thing, but how come it's become almost impossible for us to crush insecurity completely?
I honestly, it also baffles me just the way it also baffles you.
We're doing a lot. There's forensic investigation. Nigerians crack. They catch these Yahoo boys. They clean them off the streets. Why can't we use the same intelligence to actually clean out terrorists from our country? Why can't we? Because it happens. Even after he does, we get these people saved, and we clean. Now, another thing that breaks my heart is the talk of amnesty for terrorists. Shigumi is on the front pages of the papers again asking for amnesty for terrorists.
There's no amnesty for anything terrorism. I've never heard it anywhere in the world that they are providing amnesty for terrorism. So I think we shouldn't, for me, it's not something that I even want to talk about. That is his own opinion. So, and they said people are entitled to their own opinion. So that is for him. But we haven't heard anything from the federal government, and a lot of people have countered what the man has said severally. Even me, I am not in support of granting amnesty to the to terrorists. It's not done anywhere in the world. If we are going to consider that, it means that we are going to have a high rate of another angle of insecurity, that they also want amnesty. Because I think why he said so, maybe it's because of the one that they gave the people of the South region during their militancy. Maybe that was what he was thinking as at then, which I really don't know, but that is his own opinion. But for us, is how can we live in an atmosphere where we won't be worried about insecurity, where lives and property can be guaranteed, where the economic indices of the nation is moving, that average Nigerians youths can be gainfully employed. So that is an area that me, I am very concerned about.
Okay.
So going forward, it's not too bad. It's not too late for the government to come to the table to see how they can be a defensive government. They need to, as a matter of urgency, Nigerians want to see results.
And not promises.
Not
rhetoric.
Announcement. Not pronouncement. We want to see a physical result of any reforms or any gains and achievement. We want to feel the impact positively, not the other way around. If you allow insecurity to deteriorate to a certain extent, who will we be governing? Nobody.
That's a big question. Who will they govern?
Nobody.
When everyone's arm is in the air, when there's no peace.
Even investors that the government is trying to attract, they won't come. They all run away.
Indeed. If you just joined us, it is the press as we take a look at the state of the nation. Rising insecurity, cancellation of $717 million World Bank loan, matters arising. We'll take a short break, and when we return, the next discussion. Stay with us. Yes, indeed. Thanks for staying with us as we continue our discussion right here in the studio. I still have one guest, the other one didn't show. I'm glad today we have friends who actually, have us in their hearts, and they always come when we call. Now we're done with our insecurity focus. We want to take a look now at the external mounting external loans, and of course the federal government cancellation of $717.7 million US on disbursed World Bank funding earmarked for reforms in Nigeria's struggling electricity sector. So, Ismaila, the federal government has they've cancelled something that has never happened before. In fact, when I saw the story on the front page of the newspapers, I had to clean the left eyes. I cleaned the right eye.
Is it actually true? Because Nigeria, when they were talking about loan, Nigerians don't even want to hear anything loan.
So, because why would this happen now? Just being me and being Nigerian and, giving myself that extra thought. I was like, why would this be happening now? Why the cancellation? That's a lot of money, $717.7 million US dollars. But now there's another side story to this. Some loan has been given, but it's just that they stopped the continuation of the disbursement of the loan. Nigeria telling the World Bank to hold on, but some monies have been given. We do not have that full detail of the amount of money. But what we saw here is the actual cancellation of a process. And I'm just wondering to myself, if they actually stop $717.7 million US dollars, that's a lot. We're not talking naira, that's a lot. And the reason why they did that was because of, according to the Nigerian government, no obvious changes in terms of blackouts, grid collapse, and what have you. That's why they actually stopped it.
If Nigerian government stopped that loan because there is no significant improvement, I think they deserve an accolade for me, because at least instead of the money being siphoned, it's better they put a stop to it. And the two important questions that many Nigerians will ask is that, why did the cancellation? Then the second one, is it because the Nigerian government are not able to meet up with the policy reform that is being attached to it, which the answer has already been provided, that it's because of Nigeria were not able to meet up with the policy reforms that is being attached to it. And practically, I won't lie to you, Anire, all of us here, we all experience, we all know the practical issues about this power, that we do not have a stable electricity. If I could remember when they were talking about this loan, they said they are going to distribute free meters to houses who does not have a free meter, who does not have a meter, that there will be no more estimated billings and all of that. And up to today, there is still estimated billings. A lot of people are paying for the meters. I remember. Yes, a lot of people are still paying for the meter. Even as at
about 4 years ago.
Even as at was it on Friday, when the NEPA people came around to come and check for their stuff, and I was telling them about, because I have an old meter which they've already blocked, that they said that they will bring a new one replacement that I will not need to pay. Then later I was now asking them that this thing, you guys have already blocked this one, so I need it. They said I have to come and pay for it. That is better I just come and pay for me. But I said, you guys said you guys will replace it with a free meter or something like that. They say, you just better I just pay. So before then, there was an outage of light. We are no more having light
as consistent.
We don't even have light up to 9 hours anymore.
I've suffered the same thing. Past 1 week, no lights all through the night till the day. It's been
all the money that is being budgeted, the loans that is being tied to all these projects. Where is it going to? So now, aside from just cancelling the loan, they should go after the people who are implementing this project. Let them hold them to account. We want to see practical accountability. That they get this person, they are prosecuting him, they made recovery, EFCC, ICPC, they made certain recovery. We want to see practical solution, and after the recovery, the sanctions that come after it, so that it will be a lesson to others too. So that, because our electricity sector needs a real lot of reforms. I don't know, maybe it's because the previous power minister resigned, Nababa newly came in, so they decide to come do things, and only God knows what is really happening.
Now, still talking about payments for meters, for new meters. Let me just say a little bit of my experience here. My meter, where I stay in Lagos, we're on premium, so we pay more. Where I live, we pay more on electricity, so sometimes when there's no light, we have light because we pay premium. We are billed on premium. And this particular day, when the officials came, we just loaded on our meter without any explanation. They came and said they were changing. We asked, we just loaded, are we going to get a refund in the new meter? And we were told yes. Up till today, we never got 32,000 naira prepaid. We never got it back. We went to Ikeja several times. We never got any results, and that just went like that. And we had to pay 38,000 naira. They insisted we pay 38,000. Now back to Abuja, we're given the new meter. They came to change. We were told 40 units. Fortunately, we had like 55 units on the meter, and we were told, oh, it's an addition of 40 and 55. Give and take, by the time the 40 units elapsed, it wasn't put back. Even my extra units was wiped off, and we had to now buy fresh units. So that's just me, and a lot of people have those complaints. If people tell you their story when it comes to electricity issues, like you've mentioned now, you know, we won't leave this table. So talking about the stop of the loan, it's welcoming. I'm just asking if it could happen in other areas. should we expect such going towards 2027? Probably wake up to see certain loans
being cancelled.
Yes. I think cancellation of loans. I think we really do not need it.
I think the president has assured us that he's giving us renewed hope. So I think that hope, a lot of Nigerians are still expecting to see how it's going. Maybe part of it is because he already promised us that there's no how you ensure Nigerians have stable electricity. So, you know, every business is Nigerian industrialization. The electricity is the backbone of Nigerian industrialization.
Everything.
Else, there is nothing we can actually achieve significantly without the electricity. So it is important. I think yes. Of recent, we have this open governance and partnership week where civil society come together, and they were advocating that the government should be more transparent in their project, in their billing, so that the citizen can question and hold some of their leaders to account. And I think maybe part of it is, and the team we are doing is the team that they use. Pause, reflect, rethink, and I think we strategize or something. So maybe the president or the government has said that. I think we also need to pause and reflect back on these loans, most especially the one tied to the electricity, and probably maybe they say, okay, let's pause, reflect, rethink, and re-strategize. This loan that they cancel, they may still later come up that, okay, they have another ways of going about it, and they still put it up and request for more loan. We don't know yet because there is still time. But then I think I want to commend Mr. President for cancelling this loan because Nigerians are not feeling the impact. That's the bottom truth.
Now,
the other ones.
Yes.
we want to beg him to also pause and reflect on other loans to see if it worth cancellation, because I want to believe it worth cancellation as well too. So we want to see more of actionable results that Nigerians can actually testify to it. If it's actually working, Nigerians will be the one to raise the alarm that no, these loans should have continued because they gave me free meter. A lot of people will even testify, even before we even come to the studio. And you know, Nigeria, the way governance today, the citizens measures the governance based on what they could, the impact they could feel and the result that they see, not about the announcement and pronouncement that the government.
Let me use this picture. Let me paint it. You know, sometimes when the weather is so hot and you put on the fan, instead of blowing cool, what does it do?
It blows hot.
It blows hot, and you just put it off. It's not doing anything. Yeah. That's exactly the way Nigerians feel when we see our policies, promises on the front pages of our papers early in the morning, and we know we're not feeling the coolness. We're not feeling the dividends. We're not feeling it. You say you spend 1 million, 100 million, and we don't even have a feel of 100,000. Like you rightly said, if you give to Nigerians, they will be the ones to tell you, give you the kudos that you are doing right. We paid for these meters. Meters that are not supposed to be paid for, we paid. Those of us who prepaid and the old meters were taken away, we never got our units back. That's what we're saying. People load 100, 30, 20, 10, 3,000. They never got it back. Well, the cancellations have been done, but again, loans were given to Nigeria to actually help and improve the power sector. We never got results. The question I'm asking, I've not slept, I've not seen light. It's been so epileptic. You've said the same thing. The story is all over. There's money, there's loans that have been stopped. How? Okay, when we had the loans, the loans given to us, we didn't get results. Now that they've stopped the loans, how do you think the situation will go? Is it more darkness, more grid breakdowns, or what? What's the direction? What's the plan for the
I think the power ministry will be able to put a tangible answer to it. But from my own angle of view, we as a consumer, we pay. They are not giving us the electricity for free. We are paying for it. So there is no how they shouldn't come to us and tell us that they won't provide us with that electricity because we are paying for it. They are not giving us for free. If they had said, okay, they are giving us subsidy not to pay for it, then this loan cancellation, it could have been a worry for me that maybe that is where these people are using to get the money that they use to provide us with the electricity. But year in, year out, we've been paying for this electricity. Only God knows how this money are being utilized because the way they do the spending in this sector is not transparent to ordinary Nigerians. So I am not expecting, and they should also remember that these loans are being paid through the taxpayers. You and I pay taxes, so it is from there that they are using to settle some of these loans. Aside from us still paying for the electricity, even when you pay for the electricity, there are tax or is it tax or VAT that they use for it. You still pay VAT out of it. So all these things still boils down. So they shouldn't come. They shouldn't even come to say they want to give us an excuse that it's because of these loans. We Nigerians, we are paying for our electricity, and electricity shouldn't be something of luxury. We are paying for it. It is a service. They should be able to provide it for us.
Now I want to ask, don't you think it's a high time that states are allowed to provide? Different states are allowed to get involved in the power, the provision of power for their citizens to ensure that you cut some of the bottlenecks off to give that guarantee of having electricity anytime they want.
In this aspect that you just raised, I think Mr. President himself, I want to single him out. He has done quite a remarkable effort in that regard, because it was in his administration I see that he has given power to even company, even individual to generate his own electricity, if you feel. So he has given the power to states, even to local governments. If you know you can source your money, you can generate your own electricity and also sell. I think Mr. President has done that. But you see, the problem I have mostly is a lot of his appointees. Quite a number of them, the high expectation that Nigerian is having for them, they are not living up to that expectations. Just a few number of ministries and some agencies that we see that their performance indices is a bit on the increase. But for many of them, we are not really seeing the impact of what the policies that they are doing, because it's not resulting to anything for any Nigerian to even see, not to even say they want to feel the impact. So I think the Nigerian government has indeed approved that each state now have the liberty to generate their own electricity for their own indigents or citizens.
Now let's have a look at those who import generators. Years ago, I did say that probably if we put a ban on the importation of generators, try to regulate that aspect of the economy, ensure that there's a focus on making sure we look internally into solving our power problem by cutting off that particular implication that probably will get results when it comes to a power or electricity generation.
You see, in that aspect, to an extent, I am not totally in support of the total ban.
Everyone that anytime I bring up this,
due to the reason
everybody go against it.
Not really going against it, but
I'm listening.
The reason being that you have businesses who rely their sole source of
it's not going to be immediate. It's a gradual thing.
Is the mechanical, is the generator.
Okay.
But now here is the good part of it, is that there is solar. The coming of solar, in order to avoid the mistake that has happened in the generator aspect decades ago, the government have licensed some solar manufacturing company. There is one in Nasarawa State. I think it's still under construction, so far I know. And quite a number of them. So that phase now, that means that the era is a natural death for generator. Whoever is the major importer of generators should know this, that the system is gradually fading out systematically. So they don't even need that pronunciation. A smart business person will know that solar is the next line of business. So he needs to find a way of how he will cue himself towards that direction. Because even we today now, anybody you meet today now is not even talking about generator. They want to go solar, only that it is very expensive at this point in time. So by the time we have a major players coming on board to invest heavily in the solar sector in Nigeria,
probably the prices will crash.
Definitely the prices will crash, because there will be heavy competition among them. But because for now we are doing more of imports, because the one that is available in Nigeria is not sufficient to meet up the demands, so we are still importing. They almost placed a ban on solar importation of recent. So, but it means that very soon we are heading in the right direction in regards to that. So they don't even need to make the pronunciation for the ban of generator. It will naturally fade away and it will naturally be irrelevant. Nobody will be talking about generator today.
Okay.
So
we are almost rounding off, but I will not go before we go to, talking to our people. I want you to round up for us on our first focus and of course our second focus. You've provided some solutions, but we're supposed to talk about solutions towards the end. We don't have time. Just 1 minute on insecurity, and of course our last discussion on power.
I think on the insecurity is everyone's business, and we need to all put our hand on deck and support the government and provide intelligence where necessary, because no amount of help is coming to save us if we ourselves did not make that determination that we want to save our nation, that we want to save our environment, our communities. So we must do our own bits of it. In regards to power, I think everybody should just try to see how they can just go green in terms of solar. They should just see solar as the next phase of where they can generate their electricity. The government has given us the liberty that even individual businesses can now generate their power. So since the coming of solar, I think it's a good step in the right direction. Even though it's expensive, but let's be positive and be hopeful that the prices will crash the next. Okay,
so in your native dialect, please talk to your people on both. You have just 30 seconds.
I think ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá, mo kí yín o ní tilé toko, èmi ni ọmọ yín o Ismaila Babatunde. So ẹ jẹ́ ká fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ ká ibi tí a bá ti gbọ́ ìròyìn wípé àbí tó mú fura dání nípa bí àwọn èèyàn ṣe ń wà ní àdúgbò wa àbí níbi oko wa, ẹ jẹ́ ká tètè fi ọ̀rọ̀ ká sọ fún àwọn agbófinró kí wọ́n lè tètè báwọ̀ ìbàjẹ́ ìdúró. Lórí ọ̀rọ̀ iná tí ò rí lè sí ní orílẹ̀-èdè báyìí, alternative wà, níta lè lò wà yàtọ̀ sí wípé agbọ́kànlé iná ìjọba. Wọ́n ń pe nǹkan ní solar, èyí tó jẹ́ pé àti ibi oòrùn ó ní iná yẹn ti wá, so a lè máa lo ìyẹn. Although ó wọ́n, but tá a bá lè tiraka ká gbìyànjú díẹ̀, tá a bá rà at least ó máa lè serve wa fúngbà díẹ̀. Ẹ ṣé o.
Ẹ ṣé o. I want to thank you, Ismail, once again for honoring my invite. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
And for everyone who watched the show this morning, we appreciate you also. And everyone who made the show possible this morning, Divine, Ephraim, Sam, if I not call Sam, voila, Sam, everyone in the MCRO, and for the TS, thank you so much. We appreciate everyone who made today's production possible. And to you, our precious viewer, we appreciate you. I would not go without letting you know that this is the greatest nation on earth. Nigeria, our Nigeria. Have a lovely day. Bye for now.